Jimmy Fallon reflects on his really crazy, fun year. Yes, of course, Mariah Carey remains the queen of Christmas, but Jimmy Fallon is quickly climbing the charts, both literally and figuratively, as the king of the holiday season with his many celebrated projects in 2024. Continuing to host The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, his NBC late-night show had its best night of the year on Thanksgiving with 2.6 million viewers and was the most-watched week since Thanksgiving 2023. On top of that, his Jimmy Fallon's Holiday Seasonings spectacular television special drew in 4.2 million viewers across all platforms, winning the 10 p.m. time slot. If that was not enough, his recently released Holiday Seasoning is the #1 comedy album, #1 current holiday album, and #1 2024 holiday album debut, according to media-based charts. Fallon took a brief break to speak with me earlier this week, shortly after he was just getting schooled in Uno by my 2 daughters, to talk about his big year, his creative mentality today, and his professional plans heading into 2025. Jeff Conway. So, first of all, Jimmy, as you look back at 2024, what projects of yours and special moments stand out to you most? Jimmy Fallon. I had more things this year than I've had in my whole life, and I turned 50 as well. It was a really crazy, fun year. I would say what stands out the most, I'd say the album was a labor of love. I mean, that album took me like 3.5 years to make, because I had to get all the duets and get permissions and then you write the songs. I mean, writing one Christmas song is tough, and I wrote like probably 25 Christmas songs. I can't even think of any more subjects to talk about. I'm like, how many words rhyme with snow? Conway, I love that. That is hilarious. You bring up that you just turned 50 back in September, so happy belated birthday, my friend. This was a milestone birthday, so how have you noticed, Jimmy, with age, time and experience, that you have witnessed growth within yourself, not only as a professional, but simply as an evolving human being? Fallon, I've learned a lot. I think this year, I'm kind of learning that there really is kind of no top of the climb, you know what I'm saying? There's just more climbing and it just doesn't end if you do it right. You climb and then you make it to a thing, you catch a little breath and then you just keep climbing. Conway, do you feel like you are enjoying the journey, though I hope at least along the way? Fallon, completely enjoying the journey. I'm so lucky because now I can really enjoy it, like all that work of the album and doing it, but I actually enjoyed going in and recording. I would go to Electric Lady Studios after I did The Tonight Show. Go into the studio, get there probably around 8, 9 o'clock and stay until 2 in the morning and then back the next day. I would do The Tonight Show again and then Electric Lady. I became part of the routine and I learned a lot, but I loved the work and I got to really enjoy every second of it, from producing, from mixing and then just life in general, just how lucky I am to even get these opportunities. Conway, that's good to hear. You know, to piggyback off my last question, Jimmy, as you take on more and more of these projects and put your wide range of skills to different industries, do you see your creative priorities and interests shifting and/or expanding in certain ways lately? Fallon. Yeah. I mean, the fun thing is the whole book world opened up. I wrote this picture book, a kid's book, as a joke, just so that your baby's first word would be dada. I did that as a joke, and it became a hit. People bought it. So then people were like, hey, where's mama? You know, you have 2 girls, they're going to grow up one day and they're like, Dad, you didn't write something for mama? So I wrote, everything is, Mom, I did Nana loves you more, and that's opened up that whole world of children's books. It's a really fun thing that led to 5 more sleeps till Christmas, which led to 5 more sleeps till Halloween, which led to Tonightmares, a Halloween-haunted maze that we built in 30 Rock with the professionals from Universal Studios that make Halloween Horror Nights. They came in, that was a big deal because they had never tried it in New York. They never thought that it would work in New York City. You had to build the sets from scratch and hire the actors and get the hair and makeup, and it's expensive, and they did it. Then, the label is like, hey, would you do a holiday special if NBC wants to do it? I go, yeah, let me ask. And of course, NBC is like, we love it. Let's do it. And I'm like, oh, here we go. So then, you have to make the phone calls again. I really don't like asking people for favors, but this album, I called in every favor and everyone showed up for me. A separate night, they're like, We need one more big ending. So, I go, why don't I fly through the air and land on the roof of 30 Rock and we'll have the rockets up there? I can sing on top of New York City and can make it kind of festive. There's a cool new attraction on top of 30 Rock called the Skylift. If you stand on this thing, it's almost like a little circle with railings and then they press a button and it keeps rising, and you become taller than any building in New York City. It's pretty cool. So, we did it. It turned out beautiful. We used drones. It was like the coolest thing ever and I love the holidays. So, it was really the most holiday I've ever celebrated so far. It was great. Conway, you bring up the dada book. You are a girl dad yourself with 2 daughters, Jimmy, I know. So, how has your role as a parent with your wife Nancy benefited your overall outlook on life and career most, as you continue to now move forward? Fallon, I think about them with every move I make. I think, will they be proud of Dad if he did this? I'm lucky enough to get to tuck them in every night. I get to see them every morning. We have breakfast before school. I get to spend all this time. I mean, when I was growing up, I don't think my dad knew where my school was. I am at my kids' school more than they are, sometimes, and they help me out and I definitely ask my wife 1,000 questions. You know, the unwritten writer of all the things I do. Conway, Jimmy, you are also in your 12th season of The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. Congratulations. You continue to be a joy to watch. I know it is a lot of work, but how do you keep things exciting and fresh, whenever possible, with you and your Tonight Show team, so that the job still fulfills you after all these years? Fallon, it just comes, it's amazing. I work with amazing people, great writers and great producers, like the best of the best. I mean, they all kind of come from that Saturday Night Live family. I go into work every day and I'm excited. It's super different. Every night's a different thing and it's a different guest. Different problems have to be solved, so it's always kind of exciting and the news is always changing. So we have to do new jokes in the monologue. And so, it does stay very fresh and very exciting for me. I love it. Between 10 years at Tonight Show, 5 years at Late Night, 15 years doing this, you get to know all your guests and you get to kind of see them grow up and you get to see them have hits and have flops and get married and date the wrong person. It is kind of fun to see people come on the show and it is just kind of fascinating. I do look forward to it and I'm very, very grateful. Conway, and we have known you for years. You bring up Saturday Night Live, your films, your music, your late night hosting and more, but I'm curious, who is Jimmy Fallon today? How would you describe yourself and what motivates your days most lately? Fallon, I think it's getting the most out of life and living it and doing it, and challenging yourself and saying, can you do that? And can you do that? Just keep challenging yourself and going like, can you pull this off? And see if you can. Whatever I do, I try to do it the best I can, and this year, I really pushed myself and I'll continue to push next year. I don't know what next year is going to be and how it's going to be better or bigger than this year, but I'm sure it will somehow. Conway, so, after all you have done in your career up to this point now, Jimmy, are there particular industries or projects that you still itch to tap into and plan to do so in the near future? Fallon, I mean, there is always getting an act back together. That is how I got my start, doing stand-up. I do not know whether it is a one-man show or stand-up comedy, but that is one thing. I am going to try Broadway for the first time. I'm freaking out January 28th. I have no idea what I'm getting into and how I'm going to go from The Tonight Show over to Broadway and do it all, but it's all doable and we'll see. It better be doable. I mean, I'm going to work with Alex Timbers, who is the director, and it is me and Lin-Manuel Miranda, so I think I'll be in good hands. Conway, you are in good hands, absolutely. Jimmy, as you head into the new year, what are your personal goals and greatest focus as you head into 2025? Fallon, you know, I do want to get in better shape as everyone does, for at least January, and then as the year goes on, you quit the gym memberships. I'm not out of shape, but I'm not in shape if that makes sense. Let me just give you an example. I'll go to the pool and I'll wear Spanx under my rash guard. When I peel that shirt off me, it makes a sucking sound. It sounds like I'm draining the Atlantic Ocean. There's always going to be unfinished business. Conway, yes, that's fair. Lastly, Jimmy, what do you want to say to your loyal fans and supporters, people who content?